Want to jumpstart your relationship? Intimacy isn't just about getting it in. It starts way before the bedroom. And in today's episode, we're going to share 3 tips to get your intimacy back on track. Hey, we're Brit and Chris Carmichael, and you're listening to the Elevated Life Podcast. Throughout the 13 years we've been together, we've never ceased in our endless quest to better ourselves.
We've studied top experts, philosophers, and gurus. After years of personal self-experimentation, we found the tools for shifting your beliefs, moving through fears, and developing a positive mindset.
If you're ready for a breakthrough, then you're in the right place, because we're here to empower you to take control of your life with simple mindset shifts that create radical transformation.
We'll be diving into topics like personal growth, health, philosophy, spirituality, relationships, success, and mindfulness.
So create some space for yourself and get comfy. It's time to become the badass you were born to be. It's Libra season!
Oh my gosh, no.
I told you I knew exactly how I wanted to start today's podcast off. Listen, y'all, it's Libra season, and you know what that means? And retrograde. It means we're dealing with our relationships. And with this month's topic inside the Elevated Life Club being all about intimacy, I thought let's jump on the podcast and tackle some of the underutilized tools that people don't practice on a daily basis in their relationship.
Man, I tell you what, intimacy is...
It's Libra season.
Oh my gosh, here we go. Intimacy is so important. If you are not intimate in your main relationship, if you have a partner and the two of you are not intimate, you're not in a relationship. The two of you are friends. That's always the difference. With your friends, it's not the same level of intimacy. So you have to be focusing on that. If you want a long-term relationship, if you guys want to last, if you want to be together and still be excited about each other and still be turned on by each other and still get motivated or energetic and just feel that whenever you're with each other, intimacy is going to be the key.
I always joke and say that intimacy starts with the dishes, but it really is true. We think that intimacy is like 4 minutes of foreplay, but really it starts with the conversations. It starts with you being a listening ear. It starts with you taking interest in your partner's passions. It starts with you really just showing up for your partner and being present in the relationship. And I feel like that's really what starts to build that deep and lasting connection.
Yeah, so let's talk about the first thing that we figured out. There was something that really got us going in the beginning that we realized that we did early on and we mastered it. And then as we went along, we forgot about it. It's like, oh, whoops. And you don't realize it because life always gets in the way. Your to-do list always is going to get in the way. And the first person we typically neglect is our partner. And then what we end up doing is, because we're neglecting our partner, we start neglecting ourselves too. And then we're only on the to-do list and work. And we've forgotten really what's important. Remember, work is just something that you do too. Like, your partner is going to be there every single day. Some days the work's not going to be there. So you have to always be making sure.
Singing, yeah, right. But we'll talk about that in a later episode.
It's true too. So the first thing that we figured out that we had to do, something that just kind of, as we started doing it, it just like the light bulb was clicking, like, wow, this is really amazing. And
it's what brought the butterflies back.
That is to have date nights. Every single week, we have a night that we call date night. It has a name. You have to remember that if you are not naming things, you're not giving things meaning. So in order for our words to have meaning, we have to name them. We have to give them something special. That's why we have a birthday or why we have an anniversary. The name gives it meaning. And so for us, it's date night. And so even if we're at home, like what does date night mean? It can mean anything. It just means that two of you are going to be spending time together. Like, that's what it means. And when I think of a date, there's always something that's kind of like sensual behind it. It's a little bit more on the sexual side. You're not just going to go over there and do homework together, right? It's not, although I guess you could do that as long as you can make it sexy. But it's pouring into, like, not only am I going to show up, I'm going to show up as like my best self. And I'm going to be giving. I'm going to be giving a ton during that time so that my partner realizes they are the number one person in my life.
Date night has really been a game changer. And when we say date night, it doesn't always mean spending a ton of money and getting dressed up and like going on some wild and crazy, like, pie in the sky dream date. Sometimes date night for us just looks like we cuddle closer on the couch, we make some popcorn in our PJs, and just by calling it date night, like Chris said, how it gives it meaning, it changes the energy behind our experience. So although nothing is different than, let's say, most Friday nights, But when you call it date night, we're doing the same action, but the essence behind it, there's just like a new tone or a new attitude. And it just makes it more fun and giddy. And like usually we'll do something a little different. When we say date night, it's like, oh, well, what are we going to do to spice it up just a little since it's date night?
Yeah, and two, that if you're a person that doesn't have a partner, dude, give date night to yourself.
Hell
like, don't
yeah.
forget about yourself for a moment. Or if you have a super cool friend that you like spending time with, date night with them. Just make it so that it's like a really fun experience. It's something that's a little bit different than what you normally do. Maybe go the extra mile just a little bit and say, you know what, if I were to spend a little more time with them here, if I just hold their hand a little bit longer, if I just give myself a little massage, then maybe that's going to be the thing that really continues to make it so the person doesn't feel underappreciated. They don't feel like no one's seeing them. They don't feel like that their voice isn't being heard. Like date night is just that opportunity to be like, not only am I into you, I think you're beautiful. I think you are a wonderful being. Because think about it. If you had a date later on, let's say you had a date at the end of the week, like you'd be thinking about it all week long. Like it would just come to the surface of the mind every now and again while you're doing your work, while you're in a conversation, be like, oh shit, I got that date later this week. It's something to be excited about. It's something that you're looking forward to. And when you continuously do that in a relationship, everybody feels better. They always have something like, oh, I can't wait to spend time with you. Like that's what you're really saying is like, I'm so excited. I know that we're busy right now, but man, we're going to spend so much time together here and it's going to feel so good.
And I think that really just leads to the second tip that we have for you is to spoil your partner or take an interest in exactly what they love to do. This is something that I find really fun and interesting about our relationship is that Chris loves video games. Y'all, it's his meditation. Like it's his thing. It's like he goes into the zone and it's so fun to just listen to him light up and talk about all the different characters and the guns and the this and the that and the presets and the profiles and look and you can customize and I made my character look like you and look at these worlds and we can explore the things and I love it. Do I give a fuck? Absolutely not. But I love that you love it. And taking an interest in your video games has also given space for you to take interest in all my crazy woo-woo crystals and angel numbers and all the things. And so I think really taking an interest in your partner's passions is creating a deeper level of intimate bond because they can share a part of themselves with you that maybe they don't share with everyone.
You know, it's interesting because we just saw a couple days ago one of the cutest
God,
couples
so
I feel like I've ever seen.
cute.
We were standing in line. We live, at like where the Dallas Cowboys headquarters is. We live there. And
no stalkers, please.
yeah, and so there was a big meet and greet that they were doing, and so we're standing outside at this meet and greet area, and it's a real long line, and there's a couple that's in front of us, and I would call them nerdy. Maybe that's the wrong term to use, but you know that if that visual could come to mind, and they were by far the cutest gamers. I mean, they were gamers. They were the cutest couple I've seen in so long. How passionate they were about each other. They weren't like just making out.
So playful.
But it was just you could tell just by the way he looked at her and just by the way she responded to him and just their body language, you could tell they had so much connection going on. And really when you're thinking about intimacy, that's what you're thinking about. You're thinking about like, how can we go through life, but how can the person feel like my whole world? Like, how can I make this so that, and when we're talking about spoiling a person, not everybody's spoiled by the same stuff. Not everybody's always interested in material things.
Love language.
Some people do love gifts. And if that's the thing, like, hey, you're going to have to step up. Gifts have never been my thing. And so I had to learn to be a gift giver. Like it was just, I never thought about that. For me, it's always like time and effort in that way, just spending time and talking together. Like that's what I'm really into. But Brit likes presents. And so for a long time, I didn't give her that because I don't receive that way. So it doesn't really, it's not important to me. And so I didn't understand. And so maybe you have to kind of move out of your own mind and box as to what that person may need. We don't always know. So it really helps to ask them. And if you don't know, look at where their expectations aren't being met. Like it should become really obvious and don't fight it. Like just because I don't want to necessarily give gifts, like it's not as natural for me, doesn't mean that I don't want to do it. Because Brit lights up like a Christmas tree. I mean, it's like, it doesn't even matter what it is. It doesn't have to be something expensive. It doesn't have to be something that's hard to find. It can literally be like pieces of gum or something. It doesn't matter. It just matters that you thought about them for a moment, that you were going through your day and like, oh my gosh, I saw that and I thought about you and I knew I had to get it. So it's not always a ring or whatever, a flower. I mean, it can be, but it doesn't need to be that. It's just you have to be able to talk to them in the language that they want to receive in. And if that's gifts or that's time or if that's touching or appreciation, You have to be able to give them that. And no, that's how you spoil the person, is you give them the way that they love receiving love. Like you continuously give that to them and you will blow them away, because you know what? All the people that they had before you, or all the people that for some reason you guys split up, all the people that they would have after you aren't going to do that, because most people are so inside their own head that they don't realize that their partner has these extra needs. And so when you figure out what they are, just overindulge them in it. Just give them where they're like, oh my gosh, you know, you want to like fry their emotional brain so that they're like, and so they can become vulnerable. Because the number one thing for intimacy always is understanding the other person. It doesn't happen with a kiss. Those are great. It doesn't happen really in the bedroom. That's great too. But when you understand a person, you touch them at the deepest part of themselves. Oh.
I'm literally fist pumping over here like, holy effing F. It's like so good what you're saying, and exactly what I was thinking, because as you were saying, spoil them, I could feel people literally their whole body cringe and be like, ugh, like that. I don't want to have to just like buy her a ring, like spend $1 million, you know, like,
yeah, but
also if you feel that way, what the fuck? Like you're probably in the wrong relationship.
Here's what the reality, you can't take the money with you. So spoil the fuck out, like spoil them. Like,
give me your money and your gifts and your love, like all the things. No, but seriously, I was thinking when you spoil somebody, you step outside your own comfort zone of giving, or you know, give to them in a way that they know is maybe not your number one, but you can tell that they put effort into it. So it's like really just putting effort into it is spoiling your partner.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of us, we really, after it's been a while, you know, after that like honeymoon phase, after that just first meeting wears off and you realize that you're regular people and that you have issues and that you're going to be mad sometimes for no reason whatsoever. And once you get past all that, you're like, you know what, this is a person that I have come into this agreement with and said, listen, I'll love you through the craziness. I'll love you through the parts that are tough. And so knock them out. Just understand them so well where they lay in bed at night and think about you. You know, you're next to them, but they're like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. This has just been some of the best moments of my life. Like, make it so that they're bragging about you to their friends about like, I cannot believe they understand me this well. And it's really easy to do. It's easier than you think that it is. It just takes listening to them a little bit more and trying to understand where it is that they are coming from and not impose your own ideas on them.
So speaking of honeymoon, guess what this weekend is?
Tell us.
It's our wedding anniversary.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so excited to celebrate with you. And that leads us to the third tip, is to get away together. This has been one of the most powerful things that we've been able to experience in our relationship in growing together, is getting outside of our comfort zone, getting away from all the distractions, and really being able to connect and have conversations, not being busy with work or kids or cats or all the things. And we're going to be going away next week, or really this week. And I'm just so excited to be hidden in the woods and cuddled up and s'mores and all the fun things with you.
Yeah, and when we get away, we don't normally, it's not like a hardcore planned vacation. It's not like we're going to go see every site. It's not like we're going to go tour every single deal. Although for some people, that's what they're really into. For me, I just want to be into a place. Like I always tell Brit, she asks, well, where do you want to stay? And I always say, well, I want to stay someplace where we can't use our phone and we're basically just surrounded by nature.
We're like in the love cave.
Yeah, so we can just hang out and just be there because it's easy. Like there's always so much distraction around. And I feel like so many couples now live on their phone. And a lot of times, you know, you can't connect to that person that's sitting right next to you, that's always there with you, if you're always just staring into a screen. And so a lot of times the disconnect in life comes when we are online. And our partner wants to say things and tell us things and be a part of our lives, but they can't. They basically watch it in photos and captions, and like we miss out on the real good nectar. It's nice that we can show people what our relationship looks like, but it's another thing to actually be in the relationship and improve it.
You know, it reminds me of talking with Corey at Hair Love Retreat. He said, you know, you gave me a suggestion while I was on the podcast sharing about Shine School on the Hairdustry podcast. I gave him the advice to put away his phone on Sunday. Like when you get home, when you get home from work and on Sundays, put the phone in another room, turn it off, like totally be present with your family. Like you have that power to turn it off and to walk away. You're not 911, okay? Yeah. So like you really don't have to be attached to that thing. And what we ultimately want is to be present with with our family, our loved ones, or ourself. And if you're afraid to be with yourself, then let's start there, because that's the problem, But ultimately, it's the phones that create so much distraction. So if you're guilty of that and you're like, that's me right now, then challenge yourself. Pick one day out of the week where you're just going to put your phone away. For us, Sundays are sacred, and we really try not to schedule any social events on Sunday. So for us, it's an automatic, like, let's just be present with each other.
And the other thing about us is that we disable so many of the notifications that happen on our phone. I mean, it's down to very, very, very minimal. That way, otherwise it gets interrupted. Britt has a fairly large following online. And if you walk around with, thousands and thousands of people in your pocket and they're constantly DMing you or sending you photos or asking if you can do this or they can be there, it's just too overwhelming. And for your partner who's trying to spend time with you, it's very overwhelming for them. We don't bring our phones into the bedrooms. We don't use them on Sunday, or as very little as possible. And we turn off the notifications. And for us, and then seeing other people do the same thing, they said, man, I feel like I've got my life back. I always thought I was busy. I always thought I didn't have enough time. But really, it's because I kept checking in on everybody else and then going and putting out everybody else's fires. I forgot that I had my own fire that was brewing at home that I needed to be tending to. But I just got busy. I got carried away. And so it's super important. Like, getting away is just one of the best things that you can do, because it gives you a reset. And it's just like your phone, just like your computer. You have to reset it every so often. It just doesn't work the same way. You get too caught up in your routine. You got to clear everything away and say, okay, what have we been doing that's working lately? What do we want to be doing? Where do we see our goals? And really, once we go on vacays, we go on long walks on that. And we always end up talking about things, and we always end up coming back renewed in some way. We always refresh ourselves, and the whole spoiling process, the whole date night just refines and gets better and better.
I feel like you're giving away all the secrets of the evolved couples retreat that's going down in Destin in November. You're like telling all the amazing tools and things that we like to use. But ultimately, that's what the elevated life is for, is to give you these transformational tools that are so simple. We're not giving you physics equation, like mind-blowing freaking chemistry and quantum physics over here. Like, we're really just giving you simple ways to, a miracle is a shift in perception. And that's what we're doing. We're giving you these radical shifts to just change the way that you look at things and the way that you show up, because ultimately it's the attitude that you bring that determines the quality of the experience that you're having. And for me, we wanted to create that environment. We thought, what are the most transformational things that we do in our relationship that people ask us all the time? How have you guys been doing this together every single day of your life, working together for the last 15 years, and you don't fight? Like, what's wrong with you guys? Like, something's wrong. Or either something's really right, and I want to know, are you crazy, or do you have some kind of tool? And that's ultimately why we created the Elevated Life and the Evolved Couples Retreat.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be able to share with people what we figured out, like what's worked for us and what we've seen work for other couples that have said, hey, I want to pick your brain. Please let me know how to. We've been stopped on vacations and helped couples.
Oh my gosh, in Costa Rica.
Yeah, they said, hey, we're
fighting.
Yeah, we're fighting. And they just sat down to dinner with us, and we just hung out with them and went through their relationship. It is really incredible who you meet.
That was 2014.
And yeah, so we needed to figure it out. Otherwise we wouldn't have made it. I just think that too often we neglect our partner. We just sit back and we just let the relationships slowly unravel. It's like, man, we were so excited, and then it's like the car that you neglected. And after you buy the car, then it's dirty and you don't go get it washed. It's just like you forget about it. You're like, oh, it just sits in the garage. And you can't do that. You can't do that with another human being, because it's not just an object. You have to treat them like they are a living, breathing thing that has dreams and aspirations that they want to get them to. Like, don't let somebody just I'm thinking about a beautiful flower, and then you're watching it, the way it fades if you don't take care of it. And it fades almost immediately. But if you give it the right stuff, man, it just flourishes. And I feel like so many people could do that in their relationship if they could just spend a few moments getting away, just a few moments prioritizing each other. The retreat, was it 5 days?
5 days.
You're talking about 5 days, which is a long time, but it's really short. It's so much that you can pack in, but you don't have to be away for a month or 6 months. It doesn't have to be something that's really hard. It can be something that you come together as a couple and do and say, man, I want to do this for us. Like, I want to build an awesome future. And the faster that we get started on it, the faster we can really start living that dream that we both know that we deserve.
Oh, that's what I'm so excited about, is just getting the couples on the same page. Of course, overcoming anything that's stopping them from connecting or being present, but more importantly is building their future dreams together. Because when we started getting on the same page about what are our goals, what are your personal goals, what are mine, what are ours together, where do we want to go? When we got on the same page and created that like sacred container of like, here, let's put all of our little magic together and see what we can do. When we teamed up, our dreams expanded so fast. We were able to manifest and magnetize everything we've ever dreamed of. Like literally sitting, like look around,
Everything.
like we have everything we've ever talked about on our hour walks for the last decade, we have done. And it's crazy to think, like, I feel like we're just getting started.
And I know what's wild about that is I feel like had we not done that, have we not had those conversations, have we not put like time and effort into trying to figure each other out and where we wanted to go and how we could support each other, like there's so many dreams that would just kind of fizzled out and died. Because I think for a lot of us, if we don't stay motivated and stay continuously talking about the things that we're interested in and continuously pursue them and do actions that move us toward them, we just don't, it just doesn't happen. And we think that like something's wrong with us, but it's not. It's just that there wasn't that constant attention on something that we knew we needed to work on continuously.
Oh, that's why I'm so thankful you're so disciplined about like eating and working out. Otherwise, I'd be in a bad place.
And that's what you get to figure out about your partners. Where are their strengths? And then you can lean on that person for that strength. There's so many things that you're good at that I don't succeed at as much, or it's not just natural for me. I mean, the gift giving for one of them. It's just not as natural for me to do. And because you are so good at it, it helps me kind of be better at what I'm at. And like being able to figure how that fits into the relationship makes it so that we can do so much more, because I feel so much more capable.
Well, that's why you do the laundry and I hang it up.
It's true. It's true. You got to figure it out. It's in there. It's in there. And your partner wants to tell you. And I think that everyone inside really, I mean, they want a great relationship. Like everybody really wants to be loved and to love. I mean, that's the goal of kind of all of this.
Do you think anyone's gotten in a relationship to be like, I want this to be awful?
I sure hope not.
Really
that would be so weird.
So. Yeah. But we like try to make it awful.
Yeah, and it's just, we haven't figured out a few little things. It's a few little things about the way relationships work. I think a lot of times it's because we're ignorant to how we actually feel inside. Because we a lot of us brush away some of the pain points and we don't want to look at them. It's just easier if we tuck them down. But once you expose them out in the air, you're just like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Mm-hmm. I thought it was going to be bad, but it's not. And now that we've gotten over it, man, this is so much easier. Everything's something because I'm not carrying the burden. You kind of just drop the burden. You realize that you were holding on to something that you didn't need.
Well, I think that was our first date. I'm like, hey, here's all my baggage. Let me just give you a first class ticket. Yeah, here's my suitcase. Yeah, do you want to go on this journey with me?
I'll tell you what, I'm thankful for those deep conversations because they led to awesome places.
And really good makeout sesh.
It's true.
Oh, I love you so much. Okay, listen, your relationship deserves this. Your relationship deserves to have infinite love and bliss and connection and able to challenge each other. That's what's really cool about relationships. Is not only are you there to support and lean on each other, but you're also there to challenge each other, because in challenge there's growth. And that's what the ultimate experience of the Evolved Couples Retreat is going to be about, is growth. We're going to grow together. We're going to grow our dreams. We're going to grow our intimate connection, not only with our partner, but with other like-minded souls. Because I really feel like, it's, for example, thinking about how you said you never thought marriage was possible because you never had a solid example of it. 5 stepmoms, like love wasn't really an option for you. And then when you said, when I met your grandparents, then I knew love was possible. And I feel like that's what a lot of like rock solid relationship couples are missing, is those other solid relationship couples. Because how many... No offense, y'all, all of our friends who are listening, but how many of our friends have a rock solid relationship that they just are absolutely in love and 100% on the same page? It's like pretty few.
There's very few.
It's pretty few.
There's a couple of them, but it's few.
Yeah, and that's sad. And I feel like that seems, based on the couples that we coach and all the work that we've done, seems to be a common thing. I know they're out there, but just like light workers, it's like we're kind of like hiding in our own little corners. And so ultimately, I think for the Evolved Couples Retreat, it's a selfish desire for me to be able to be around other couples who aren't necessarily in crisis, but are ready to commit and grow together on a deeper level. And I want to be friends with people like that.
You know, when you get people that love each other and they show up in that love space where they're not complaining, they're not blaming, nobody's a victim in the conversation, they're just talking about the cool things they're doing or the cool things they want to do together or like where their life is going, it's a whole different conversation. It's a whole different feeling of being around them, and it's a whole different amount of energy that gets inspired from them.
I know. And all the delicious food. Chef Kevin from the Goddess Retreat said he's on board for joining us in Destin.
Chef Kevin is the best food I've ever had.
It's so good. So we're going to spoil you with the most delicious food, 5 days in a luxurious beachfront villa in Destin, Florida this November. We only have spots for 8 couples. We don't have a lot of room, and deadline to apply is October 9th. So that's literally right around the corner. Be sure to apply and come check us out. We are so excited to share our secrets on what it takes to have a very sensitive, sensual, sexy, successful relationship. I had to go with the alliteration vibe.
I know.
It's
all right.
I'm extra.
You know why? I love it though.
You know why?
Why?
Because it's Libra season. Okay, so one of our elevators has asked us to do a whole topic on my birthday celebrations and Halloween and all of that. So I feel like that's the next one we should cover, since we're celebrating our anniversary.
Let's do it.
My birthday, all in the same week.
Let's do it.
Booyah. All right, then we'll catch you next week for a fun birthday celebration episode.
Peace.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Elevated Life podcast. Want more? Join us at theelevatedlifeclub.com for mindset upgrades, lifestyle hacks, and spiritual tools to elevate your soul.
Each month features a new masterclass, meditation, yoga practice, and more to help you transform your life one step at a time.
Come join the 7 or Above Club.